In September 1995, the BC groundfish bottom trawl fishery was closed down by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans because the fleet was over-harvesting the allowable catch of many species. Jump ahead 18 years and the BC trawl fleet is now recognized globally for its fishery practices. These practices include comprehensive at-sea and dockside monitoring, individual catch accountability, seafloor habitat protection, and improved research and stock assessment. What brought about this positive change?
We're really proud of the changes that we've made in 20 years. From my perception, being a fisherman from the 70s through the 80s, the Olympic years as we called them, to today, certainly it's something that I believe we're able to leave to our children now, and it's in good hands. It's good processes for them to follow.
When the fishery reopened 5 months after the 1995 closure, a government-certified observer became mandatory on board each fishing boat to independently record the catch weight by species and location for each trawl set.
As we go through the data that's been collected now, we're really learning of the benefits of at-sea, 100% monitoring at sea. But one of the first things it did was it leveled the playing field. All fishermen were doing the same thing and treated fairly. I didn't have to think that another fisherman was doing something that was advantageous to him and a disadvantage to me. That was the first big thing, that at-sea monitoring took away all those uncertainties and those rumors within the fishery.
In addition, all catch brought to shore was now sorted by species and weighed in the presence of independent monitors and updated online on a daily basis. With proper catch monitoring in place in 1997, management moved to individual vessel quotas for 57 stocks of groundfish spread over the 6 management areas. Now, each skipper is personally responsible for staying within the species-specific quota limits that are assigned to the vessel for each management area. While this new milestone of accountability had been reached, concerns remained about how much damage the fishing gear would have on sensitive species attached to the sea floor as it pulled along the bottom. Canada's Pacific coast consists of some of the most complex and vulnerable ecosystems in the world. Here, you can find 100-year-old rockfish, 9,000-year-old sponge reefs and corals that are hundreds of years old. If they get hit hard by a trawl net, corals and sponges die or remain severely damaged.
10 years ago, in my mind, the only sustainable bottom trawl fishery would be a no bottom trawl fishery. I didn't think a management system could be creative enough or versatile enough to actually deal with all the complications of running a multi-species bottom trawl fishery.
The comprehensive monitoring and data collection over the past 18 years has brought new insights into the interactions of the trawl fleet with the ecosystem.
Basically, I'm an accountant. I make sure that the vessels are responsible for every single thing that comes up in the net. So what that means is when in the processing facility, in the sorting area, I document what species are present, whether that's getting retained or discarded over the side. I then enumerate how much of each species is there, and especially where it came from.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things about this fleet is that there's no more secrets involved. Since 1997, there's been 100% observer coverage. So from a science point of view, we have information on 200,000 individual tows. We know what species are being caught and where. When there's no more secrets, you can have honest conversations about where conservation issues still exist.
One of the main risks is the impact the trawl nets are having on the seafloor. In 2009, environmental organizations and the bottom trawl industry came together to look for ways to reduce the fleet's impact on seafloor habitats. Former adversaries were now in the same room sharing information, acknowledging problems, and discussing solutions.
This new quota system that we were given on habitat is, when we first started, it sounded really small. We didn't know if we could do it. It was going to be pretty tough. But over the last couple of years, we've brought our catch of sponges and coral down to a point where we're believing now that yes, we can make this work. And by doing this, it is going to, or we're hoping that it will help us with our marketability. Where we are now, I mean, if you could imagine back 20 years ago, people would have told you was crazy, like it's never going to happen. Having, for starters, having environmental people on the boat, it just wouldn't have happened. I think my peers would have really shook their heads at what we were doing.
The collaboration led to a new standard that addresses the impact to the sea floor. In April 2012, 4 new management measures were put in place. First, boundaries were agreed on where trawling would be allowed. The boundaries were based on the different types of habitats that occur on the sea floor, as well as the known extent of trawling. This new boundary means that approximately 9,000 square kilometers of the historically fished area is now outside the allowable trawling area. Next, the world's first habitat bycatch quota was introduced. It severely penalizes fishermen who don't stay away from the areas with corals and sponges. Now, each time a skipper sets his net, he has a significant economic incentive to avoid these sensitive areas or risk exceeding the vessel's allocation.
We always look other places where we know there is no coral or no sponges, and we can still get our fish at a much faster rate and not tear our nets up is beneficial.
Third, a protocol was set up to warn other vessels immediately of locations where trawl tows had encountered coral and/or sponges in combined quantities of more than 20 kilos. At the end of the fishing year, these encounters are reviewed, and if necessary, further measures are taken to avoid any damages in the future. Finally, a committee was formed to monitor how effective these new measures are.
Actually, we were pleasantly surprised at how well the conservation measures were working. There were a few small issues in the beginning, but by and large, the skippers have kept within the boundaries, and there's been a significant reduction in interactions with corals and sponges.
The changes in fishing practices are proving to be more effective than anticipated. The area trawled is currently 75% smaller than it was historically, and the catch of corals and sponges on a yearly basis is now less than what used to be caught in a single tow. These environmental improvements have been recognized by consumer-focused seafood recommendation programs such as Sea Choice and Seafood Watch.
From Albion's perspective, we've been in business for 50 years now, and being focused on constantly improving that fishery to become a more sustainable fishery is really important to us. And we've seen the progression and the changes that have happened within the trawl industry, and we're really excited about this.
In a fishery this complex, new challenges are bound to arise. But the strength of the current management system is that arising conservation concerns can be addressed immediately in collaboration with all stakeholders. The progress made in the BC trawl fishery stands out as a success story in global fisheries management. Its high standard serves as a model for other bottom trawl fisheries to strive towards.